If you only rotate your wrist, you're not using your fingers. Against heavy spin, a wrist-only motion is too slow to lift the ball. Why is returning serves so difficult for amateur players? First, they don't anticipate. They don't practice reading the serve as a dedicated skill. Second, when they miss a return, they fail to make any adjustments. The reason you can get into rallies with familiar partners is because you know their serves well and don't miss the return. Against an unfamiliar opponent, returning the serve is the very first challenge. If an opponent has great serves, you'll be intimidated, mentally giving up points and losing the psychological edge. You must practice anticipation. Train it as seriously as you train your forehand attack, and you'll see massive improvement. Alright, today we're going to teach you how to return serves. For example, Haigu, you return a few. Let's see how you handle a fast serve. For faster, more urgent serves, minimize your backswing. Keep the racket in front of your body and be sure to rotate the racket head on contact. As long as you brush the ball, you won't get beaten by the spin. A common mistake when returning these serves is lifting the entire arm. When returning fast serves, never swing with your upper arm. If you lift it, you'll lose control of the ball. Instead, use your upper arm and elbow as a stable pivot point. Treat it as a pivot. See how my upper arm and elbow stay still? Use it as a pivot. Then, just let the forearm rotate. It makes a huge difference. Many players either lift their arm or flare their forearm outward, which prevents them from brushing the ball properly. For these fast serves, remember 2 key points: no backswing, and rotate the racket head. The faster the serve, the easier it is to use its pace. That is the first key to returning fast serves. The second key, on fast balls, our instinct is to just block it passively, without accelerating through contact. A big backswing followed by a soft contact means you're not accelerating. All effort is wasted before you hit the ball. All your power is in the backswing and the initial forward swing, but your hand goes soft the moment you hit the ball, making the return weak. So what is accelerating through contact? It means applying force the moment you meet the ball. Even with no backswing, you must actively apply force at the point of contact. That's acceleration. The problem for many players, they get a serve to their backhand. They take a backswing, but the contact is soft. Against topspin, it's less of an issue. You can just block it and use the opponent's pace. But backspin is different. You must actively drive into the ball and generate your own force. For backspin, the moment of contact is when you must start brushing and accelerating. Don't use a topspin mindset where you stop at contact. Being too stiff or too soft are both incorrect. So, how do we fix this? For a sidespin backspin serve like this, you have to exert force right at the moment of contact. Force at contact. Where does that force come from? Your fingers. All of my wrist rotation is initiated and driven by my fingers. For example, if my fingers are static, my wrist can't move effectively on its own. It's the fingers that drive the action, which in turn moves the wrist. You are not independently rotating the wrist. Think of it as 2 force components. Your fingers are responsible for the height of the ball's arc. A backspin serve wants to dive down off your racket. Your fingers must provide the upward force to counteract that. The ball drops, you lift. If the spin is heavy and your fingers are weak, you won't lift it. Your fingers must generate explosive force to neutralize the backspin and create lift. You must lift against that downward force. It's the same principle for the backhand. When the ball comes, that burst of finger power is what quickly lifts the ball out of its downward trajectory. This is because your fingers can change the racket angle the fastest. Your forearm is slower, and your upper arm is the slowest. Next is the forearm. The forearm is responsible for providing depth, sending the ball long. Watch this ball. The fingers provide the lift. If it doesn't clear the net, it's a finger power issue. To summarize, fingers create the vertical arc, height, and the forearm creates the horizontal arc, depth. If you can't lift the ball, use more explosive finger power. If the ball is short, use your forearm to drive forward more. Push through the ball to get it on the table. This applies to both forehand and backhand. So, when I say use force, I mean at contact, combine finger and forearm power. Fingers lift the ball high, and the forearm drives it forward. This combination gets the ball over the net. A player just said, "I use my fingers, but I still can't lift the ball." That's because you're rotating, but not applying enough force. You have to be forceful. The rotation from your fingers is enough for a no-spin ball. But when they add heavy spin, you can't lift it. You might think your technique is wrong, but your finger snap isn't strong enough to overcome the spin. That downward force from heavy spin is powerful. A weak touch won't be enough to return it. You need to generate even more upward force to successfully lift the ball. So at contact, you must execute a very fast brushing motion. Just brushing isn't enough, the speed of the brush is critical. On a fast serve return, your brushing motion must be compact and explosive. Only then can you counteract their spin. This is specific to the return, not your general loop technique. Other coaches say the wrist leads the forearm, which is correct. You use the wrist, but its power is transferred from the fingers. That's how you unlock the maximum power of your wrist. If you only rotate your wrist, you're not using your fingers. Against heavy spin, a wrist-only motion is too slow to lift the ball. Only your fingers can generate the racket speed needed for a consistent return. Against a less spinny ball, I can even get away with using just my forearm to loop. Next, let's talk about serves that break sideways. Many players miss these completely. They either whiff the ball or hit their hand. This happens because the timing of the contact point is wrong. For any serve with heavy side spin. Why do you miss it? Because you swing at the ball right as it's breaking away, causing you to miss. You miss a sidespin backspin serve because you are swinging too early. As the ball comes, it's dropping, and your racket is already swinging over the top of it. It's a timing issue. Advanced players try to contact the ball on the rise for a higher quality return. However, for amateurs, I don't recommend taking a heavy sidespin backspin serve on the rise. It's too spinny. Instead, wait for the ball to finish its break. Wait for the break to finish, delay your stroke, and then move your racket and body to the ball. Why do I say, crouch and keep your chest in? This posture aligns your eyes with the ball. If you stand up straight, you're using peripheral vision, which is inaccurate. As the ball comes over and bounces, I am tracking its trajectory the entire way. As the ball is coming, always keep your eyes locked on its path. So for this serve, I'm going to track it and wait for it to break. Contacting on the rise, right here, is too difficult for most players. Contacting at the peak of the bounce is when the ball is breaking the most. Contacting on the fall means you hit it here, after it has finished breaking. If you wait until after the break, at the very least, you won't miss the ball completely. Many players panic. The ball comes and they rush the return, thinking if they don't act fast, they'll miss it. In reality, you miss because you swing just as the ball breaks. Unlike a topspin ball, this one moves sideways, and you lose its position. The second reason for missing is on heavy backspin. The ball is dropping sharply, but your swing is too early. When you miss, it's often because the ball is already below your racket. The more spin on the ball, the slower and lower its second bounce will be. It dies on the table. So in this situation, don't swing too early. Wait for it to bounce, then execute your stroke. The timing will be perfect. You're missing the ball because you're rushing the shot. Now let's talk about hitting your hand. This happens when you don't align your racket to the ball. You swing before you've even seen where the ball is. Here's a tip. Consciously aim to meet the ball with the center of your racket, not the top edge. I focus on the center of my racket. Wherever the ball is, I meet it with that sweet spot. It's extremely accurate. It's really a matter of mental focus. There's a huge difference between swinging blindly and consciously tracking the ball to meet it with the center of your racket. On every shot, my footwork might be slow, but I always make sure to align the center of my racket with the ball. Same for the forehand. As the ball comes, use the center of your racket. If you consciously focus on this alignment, your contact rate and accuracy will improve dramatically. If your feel for the ball and anticipation aren't developed, you'll just swing subconsciously. This leads to errors like hitting your hand, missing the ball, or hitting the edge.